today class, and the topic is why is it difficult for India to get to net zero? Okay, and after that we'll cover a topic related to urban planning, and there were news related to Niti Aayog report on urban planning. So we'll cover the topics related to urban planning. So let's start our discussion with the first topic, and the first topic is friend Equinox 2021. Okay, what Equinox 2021 arrived on 22nd September. 22nd September. So please keep in the mind this date is very important for your prelims examination, not important for mains. Okay, so now let's discuss what is the context why we are discussing this topic. Okay, so first of all, friends, if we will talk about context, so on 22nd September, most of the earth experienced about 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. Okay, please keep in the mind 12 hours of daylight and also 12 hours of, you can say, ki darkness. Okay, 12 hours of darkness, that means ki day and night were equal. And so this is known as the fall equinox. What? Fall equinox or the September equinox. Please keep in the mind September equinox. That means if you'll get a question related to fall equinox, okay, don't fall in trap. Fall equinox means September equinox, and September equinox date is 22nd September. Equinox means equal. Okay, that means ki day and night will be equal. That means 12 hours for daylight and 12 hours of darkness. Okay, so now, okay, please keep in the mind, I'm going to ask a question, okay, from you. What is the meaning of equinox? Anyone can tell me what is the meaning of equinox? Anyone? Please try to
Sir,
participate.
equinox hoche the duration of a day and a night is equal. There are two type of equinox.
Okay,
One is autumn equinox and one is summer equinox. Autumn equinox
okay,
September 23 or
very
September 22,
mm-hmm.
June 23 or June 22 summer equinox.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone?
Sir,
Okay, no problem. I'm going. Yeah.
March
Okay,
23 या 21 की वो स्प्रिंग इक्विनॉक्स
हाँ मार्च 23 और मार्च 23 जोटा
okay,
सेटा कि दीटा
okay,
डेट थाए सॉरी मु जून को सॉरी
okay. So
March
yeah,
20.
now I'm going to tell you. Please keep in the mind. Okay. So equinox is a point. Okay, I will show you a picture. So equinox is a point in a year when the daytime and night time are approximate of equal lengths, which are 12 hours each. Okay, 12 hours each. Okay, so please keep in the mind. And friends, if we'll talk about the equinox, so you'll get the equinox, September equinox, and September equinox also known as autumnal, okay, or autumn equinox. Please keep in the mind. And then, friends, there's also two things. First is astronomical fall season in northern hemisphere in September equinox. Please keep in the mind. On 22nd, okay, September, you'll get astronomical fall season in northern hemisphere and astronomical spring in southern hemisphere. Okay, in southern hemisphere. So now, basically, you'll have to understand the world geography. Also, you can say the world map. If you know what is the meaning of latitude, if you know what is the meaning of longitude, if you know which line is equator, if you know which line is tropic of cancer, which country lie on the tropic of cancer, or you can say tropic of capricorn. Can you tell me, uh, in the world there's only one continent? Okay, you can say in one continent there is tropic of cancer, then also tropic of capricorn, and you can say equator. So which continent I'm talking about? Which continent? In which continent? Okay,
सर
yeah, Rajesh.
अफ्रीका सर
Okay,
अफ्रीका
very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Got it. Thank you so much. Yeah. So that means I told you equinox. Equinox means you can say equal, okay, day and equal night. And friend, also you'll have to keep in the mind कि it is technically you can say कि technically not a day long astronomical event and being a day of equal daylight and night. And equinox phenomenon occurs 2 times a year. Okay, how many times? So 2 times a year. Usually you can say 20th, okay, March. You'll have to keep in the mind on 20th March and 22nd September and 22nd September. So please keep in the mind. And friends, during this time, the sun is exactly above the Earth's equator. Okay, sun is exactly above the Earth's equator. Do you know line of equator? For example, okay, please keep in the mind. Okay, which line divides equally between equally the world, half north, half south. So basically 0 degree. Okay, 0 degree latitude is, please keep in the mind, equator. So you can say this I told you ki equinox occurs 2 times a year, 20th March and 22nd September. Please keep in the mind 22nd September. Okay. And friends, during this time, during you can say ki equinox, the sun is exactly above the Earth's equator. Okay, Earth's equator. Please keep in the mind. And I told you ki please keep in the mind 0 degree is equator. So anyone can tell me what is the meaning of equator? Okay, what is the meaning of equator? What is equator? Anyone? Can you tell me what is the meaning of equator?
Sir, the imaginary line which divided the earth into two same
One
parts.
by one. Okay. First of all, just a minute. If you want to reply, okay, if you want to participate, first raise your hand, and after that I will go, okay, one by one. Okay. So let's just start with Deji. Yeah, Deji.
Sorry. Equator divides the Earth into two equal parts, northern hemisphere and southern
Yeah.
hemisphere.
Yeah, very good. Anything else?
And from equator also the latitudes are calculated.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Next one, Anita. Yeah, Anita. Tell me.
Equator divides Earth into two parts, in the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Sir.
Anyone else? Rajesh.
Longest latitude, 0 degree
Okay.
latitude or longest latitude.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you in a one line. Okay, basically you can say the equator is an imaginary line on the middle of a planet or the celestial body. Okay, so Deji told now the equator divides the Earth into two parts, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Okay, and basically 0 degree. Also, it is an imaginary line. That means it is imaginary line, and 0 degree is related to equator. 23.5 degree in northern hemisphere is Tropic of Cancer. 23.5 degree in southern hemisphere is, you can say, Tropic of Capricorn. And 0 degree, okay, to 5 or 10 degree, there's a, you can say, horse latitude. Okay, it is known as horse latitude. Okay, so please keep in the mind. I told you what is equator. Equator is an imaginary line on the middle of planet or the celestial body. And friends, you can say कि equinox result in the passing of the terminator or twilight zone, and which is a moving line that divides the illuminated side and the dark night side of the Earth to pass through the Earth's north and south pole. Okay, north and south pole. So here's a question: what is the meaning of terminator? I told you na कि equinox, okay, result in the passing of the terminator or twilight zone. So what is terminator? Let's understand. Friends, terminator, okay, does not divide the planet into dark and light. And the Earth atmosphere bends sunlight by 37 miles, okay, approximately 60 kilometer, and which equals half a degree, okay. And this suggests that one half of the earth is still more lit than the other part, even on the day of an equinox. Okay, even on the day of an equinox. So I told you. And friends, also you will have to keep in the mind the facts related to equinox. Also, you can say the equinox, okay, it's a unique angle causes of all the areas of Earth or other planets to experience almost the same amount of daylight and darkness twice every year. And the two types of equinox that occurs are March equinox and September equinox. March, okay, equinox and September equinox. And I told you the date, okay, March, 20th March, and in September, 22nd September, okay. And then friends, also you can say in the northern hemisphere, okay. So do you know, basically upper part, this part is northern hemisphere, okay, please keep in the mind, and the lower part, okay, is southern hemisphere. In the northern, you can say hemisphere, there is Arctic Council, okay, Arctic pole, and in the southern hemisphere, there is Antarctic pole, okay. So please keep in the mind, this is very, very important. Okay, don't think that this class is related to current affair and sir is talking about geography, history. Yes, do you know the importance of current affairs? That means if you are reading any topics related to current affair, so you should, okay, read or you should cover the static portion also. So basically, if you, okay, if you will appear in UPSC and if you have analysis of UPSC previous year question, also state service, okay, previous year question, you can easily get the idea if any topic is in, okay, frequent news, or also you can say if there's any unique incident, that means the commission can ask a question related to frequent topic, okay, frequent current affairs topic. And not only you can say current affair portion, commission can also ask, you can say static portion. So basically we are okay, presently we are covering equinox. That means you can get the question related to equinox. What will be the impact of equinox? How equinox will, okay, affect, you can say our universe system. So please keep in the mind, okay. So now let's talk about the next, okay. So I told you in the northern hemisphere, the March equinox is known as vernal equinox, okay, VERNAL, vernal equinox, okay. So I have ordered my, okay, you can say event tab, but yet I did not get my order. So please keep in the mind. So I told you the March equinox is known as the vernal equinox. Vernal means fresh, okay, or new like the spring. Vernal means fresh or new like the spring. And while in September, it is known as autumnal equinox. So March equinox known as vernal, and you can say September autumnal. Okay, please keep in the mind. And friends, the names are the opposite in the southern hemisphere because the season are switched. Okay, and do you know now, if in India there is summer, so you'll get, you can say in Australia there will be winter. Okay, so please keep in the mind. So basically there is a, you can say movement, or also you can say there is a movement of sun. Okay, please keep in the mind. And also you can say equinox. Okay, equinox, and I told you in a March equinox it is known as vernal. That means it means fresh or new like. Okay, and friends, the names are the opposite in southern, okay, hemisphere because the season are switched. Okay, for example, winter and the, you can say autumn equinox occur in southern hemisphere in March, and when it is spring in the northern hemisphere. Okay, so now let's see the picture. You can see here Earth has season because its axis is tilted. You know not 23.5 degree. Okay, 23.5 degree. So you can see here the Earth is tilted. Okay, please keep in the mind. And Earth rotates on its axis as it orbits the sun, but the axis always points in the same direction. Please keep in the mind. You can see here the same direction. Okay, and friends, do you know now this is northern hemisphere, this is southern hemisphere. Okay, and if you will talk about in December, so you can see here is summer south of the equator. Okay, In December, in India, there will be winter season, but in Australia, there will be, you can say, summer season. Okay. And winter north of the equator. So India located here now. So this is not a big picture. So I can easily tell you, but you'll have to keep in the mind in December. Okay. In India, there will be winter season, but in Australia, okay, in southern hemisphere, there will be summer season. Okay. And in December, the sun shines directly on the southern hemisphere and indirectly on the northern hemisphere. Okay. Then if we'll talk about the March month, so fall south of the equator, okay, and spring north of the equator, please keep in the mind, and the sun shines equally on the southern and northern hemisphere, equally. Then in June, okay, in a southern hemisphere, you can see a winter, okay, okay, and in the northern hemisphere, there will be summer season. So please keep in the mind. And friends, the sun directly, okay, the sun shines directly on the northern hemisphere and indirectly on the southern, okay, hemisphere, indirectly on the southern hemisphere. So that means key up, okay, opposite. In December, there will be, you can say, sun indirectly on northern hemisphere, but in June, sun, okay, will be indirectly on southern hemisphere. So please keep in the mind. Now let's talk about the September, that is the September equinox. Okay, so spring, you can say in the southern hemisphere, and also you'll have to keep in the mind spring south, okay, spring the southern hemisphere, and also you can say there will be monsoon season and winter season will start in northern hemisphere. Okay, because why? The sun shines equally on the southern hemisphere and northern hemisphere. Okay. So please keep in the mind, these facts are very, very important. So what is the significance of the, you can say, equinox? Anyone can tell me, what is the importance of equinox? Anyone? And few seconds ago, we have discussed, I told you the importance, but I'm asking you a question. Please tell me, what is the significance of equinox, or what is the significance of equinox incident? Anyone? Can you tell me? No one? Raise your hand. Try to participate. Why, guys?
Sir,
Yeah, Rajesh. Yes, Rajesh, go ahead.
uh, the
Okay, no problem. I'm going to tell you. So please keep in the mind. Yeah.
climate
I'm not getting your voice clearly.
climate
Maybe there is a network issue, okay, from your side. So please recheck. And okay, so now let's talk about the significance of equinox. Okay, and also you can see equinox is the marker of seasonal change. Please keep in the mind, marker of seasonal change. Please keep in the mind. Okay, marker of seasonal change. Okay, seasonal change. Please keep in the mind. And friends, like the solstice, equinox are the historical markers of seasonal change. And the March equinox is regarded as the beginning of the spring season, and it is considered as the rebirth and renewal time. And this is the reason why many cultures celebrate the March equinox as the first day of the new year. Okay, as the first day of the new year. And I told you, you'll have to keep in the mind March equinox, okay, is also known as vernal equinox. So vernal means fresh or new, like the spring. Okay, and told you the March equinox is regarded as the beginning of the spring season, and it is considered as the rebirth and renewal time. Okay, renewal time. And friends, comparatively, the September equinox marks fewer events generally associated with autumnal harvest festival. Okay, so you can see these are the significance of the equinox event. So please keep in the mind. Now, friends, let's talk about the correlation between the events of solstice and equinox. Okay, events of solstice and equinox, because this is very, very important. Maybe, okay, we'll get question related to this topic. So first of all, let's talk about the summer solstice, and it falls on 21st June. Okay, falls on 21st June. And when the sun, okay, is at its highest path through the sky and the day is the longest, and it starts to follow a lower and lower path in the sky every day until, okay, it is there about 12 hours in a day. And this point in the sun's path occurs on 22nd September, and it is known as autumnal equinox. Okay, please keep in the mind. And friends, it further, okay, continue to follow a lower and lower path through the sky, and with the days getting shorter and shorter, as the sun reaches a point, okay, and it is known as the winter solstice, occurring on 21st or 22nd December. And after, okay, that it can go any further lower, okay. And friends, after the winter solstice, the sun starts following a higher and a higher path through the sky until once again it is there for about 12 hours, and this is the vernal or spring equinox, and it falls on 21st March. Okay, 21st March. So please keep in the mind, this is very, very important. Okay, now also friend, the sun rises for the first time in southern pole when the sun is lying directly, okay, above the equator on 22nd September. 22nd September. And it is also, okay, please keep in the mind, it is also marks the beginning of midnight sun, in which the sun never dips below the horizon. And at the north pole, okay, it marks the beginning of polar nights, and twilight will be there at the north pole, and which will remain there until, okay, sometime in October, before the sun disappear below the horizon. So you can see here the picture. So you can see here, okay, please keep in the mind. So first of all, here is a winter solstice. You can see here, okay, you can say ki these parts and these parts, you can see here, okay. So please keep in the mind. Then there is you can say ki autumnal equinox, this picture, okay. Then summer solstice, this one. And there is vernal equinox, that means the March equinox, okay, 20 or 21st March. So please keep in the mind, this is the very, you can say, equinox is very, very important topic for your upcoming examination. So what is the facts related to autumn equinox? So let's discuss the facts related to autumn equinox. Basically, friend, it is an, okay, you can say instantaneous phenomenon, and it does not last for the entire day. And I told you there will be 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. Okay, this is very, very important. Yeah, Meena. Any doubt? Meena, you have reads. Okay, so now I was talking about the facts related to autumn equinox. So basically, I told you it is an instantaneous phenomenon and does not last for the entire day. There will be 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night, and it does not occur on a fixed day. And usually, okay, you can say it occurs on 22nd September, 23rd September. And autumn equinox, okay, is a prime time to observe northern lights, that means aurora borealis. There's two types of light. One, aurora borealis, northern hemisphere. Then there is you can say australis, okay, aurora australis you can say in the southern hemisphere. So please keep in the mind. And friends, the first full moon after the autumnal equinox is called as harvest moon. Please keep in the mind, what is the meaning of harvest moon? Meaning of harvest moon means the first full moon after 21st or 22nd September. Okay. And you can say ki after autumn equinox, there will be change of season around the world, because in northern hemisphere winter will start and in southern hemisphere, summer season will be start. Okay, so please keep in the mind, these are the most important facts related to autumn, you can say, the equinox. Okay, so now, what is the effect of equinox on the functioning of satellite? Anyone, can you tell me what will be the effect, okay, of equinox on the functioning of satellite? This is the main question. Okay, if UPSC or any state service will ask a question related to equinox, so they can ask a question related to effect of equinox on satellite. Anyone, can you guess, can you recall, can you tell me any one point? If you'll try, okay, no problem. If you don't know, try. How can you think? Do you know it is not the interview, okay, session? I'm not, you can say, taking your interview. I'm here for discussing. I'm here for give you the extra information. I'm here for your, you can say, career build up, and also you can say I am here for giving you a additional information, important point, also keynotes point. Okay, so please try to participate. What will be the effect of equinox on the functioning of satellite? Anyone, if you want to, okay, reply. If you want to tell me, please raise your hand and I will go okay, one by one. If you will not raise your hand, okay, after that I will go one by one. I will take your name. Okay, so let's say start with Ananya, Anita. If you, okay, do not want to participate, also you can comment, sir, I don't know. Okay, then there is Anita, then Banita, then Bhajaman.
No, sir, I have no
Delhi.
idea, sir.
Okay, then Fisco, Meena, Nilin, Rakshima, Pooja, Radha, Rajesh, Salvation. Tell me, what will be the effect of equinox on the, you can say,
Sir,
functioning of Earth satellite? Yeah, Rajesh.
sir, the satellite जो geostationary orbit में होता है ना satellite, वो इक्वेटर में जब सन आता है ना इक्विनॉक्स के टाइम, वो थोड़ा टच में या थोड़ा पास आता है, वो ही.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you one by one.
satellite
So
थोड़ा
first
पास
of
आता
all,
है.
friends, let's yeah. Okay, I got your point. So let's talk about the effect of equinox on the functioning of satellite. Sorry. Okay, so now I am going to tell you. So effect of equinox on the functioning of satellite. Please keep in the mind and please write down this point. Okay, and I told you in the previous classes also, if you will, okay, join my class, that means if you are, okay, and also if you have joined my class, so first of all you should have blank page and pen. Okay, that means if I'm going to tell you the effects of equinox on the functioning of satellite, that means you can, okay, write down in the bullet point, and also you can make your own notes. I will provide you additional, okay, you can say details related to topics. I will share PDF, but you should also write the important points, key point. So first of all, effect of equinox on the functioning of satellite. Geostationary satellite, okay, have an equatorial orbit, and Earth's equator as well as the Earth's pole are tilted by 23.5 degrees. And this tilt also defines the limits of Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer in southern and northern hemisphere. And due to this tilt, the geostationary satellite orbits above or below the Earth's shadow and remain in sunlight continuously. But during equinox, both the hemisphere get illuminated, okay, illuminated equally, resulting in the Earth casting a shadow through the orbital path, okay, through the orbital path. So please keep in the mind. And then friends, This makes geostationary satellite to spend time in the shadow for maximum of 72 minutes in each eclipse season, and which lasts for 44 days. 44 days. And as the satellite depends on solar power to recharge its batteries, the depleted batteries and stringent thermal drop due to the absence of solar flux, okay, and which also heats the satellite, can disrupt the satellite functioning, okay. And also, friends, during the equinox, the background noise provided by the sun blinds the reception, that means receiving the signal on Earth, and this is known as the sun outage, in which, okay, the energy from the sun disrupt the signal from a satellite. That means the factor will be on satellite. First of all, you will have to keep in the mind, okay, batteries. That means you can say satellite depends on solar, okay, solar system. And also you can say there will be a problem, okay, in receiving signals. So basically these are the 2 or 3 important points, okay. So we have discussed effects of equinox on the functioning of satellite, okay. And friends, let's talk about the last point, conclusion points related to this topic. According to me, for a very long, the ancient people have used the sky as a clock and calendar, okay, clock and calendar. Okay, if you visited Jantar Mantar, there is a clock depends on sun rays. Please mute yourself. Now, so I told you. Yeah. So they could not have done this prior understanding about the periodic phenomenon like the sun path across the sky, length of daylight, and location of sunrise and sunset, all shifted regularly throughout the year. And the event of the equinox is celebrated around the world, suggesting its importance in different culture. And the harvest moon marks the beginning of the festive season in India, okay. And this is also known as, you can say, Bhadrapada Purnima in India, and it marks the beginning of Pitru Paksh, okay, and the fortnight when the ancestors are remembered and worshipped, okay. So you'll have to keep in the mind. So we have discussed about the first topic, equinox 2021, okay, which arrived on 22nd September. If you have any doubt, please ask, okay. If you don't have any doubt, okay, I will move with a new topic. Anyone? Is it clear? Please tell me. Yeah, Daisy, clear. Okay. So now, friends, try to participate. Okay, please tell me. Yeah, Daisy, clear, sir. Anita, yes, sir. Prakshima, yes, sir. Okay. So we'll now I'm going to cover a new topic, and the new topic is also related to satellite. Okay. So the topic is, friend, you can see here, the Earth observation satellite are essential for India's national security. Essential for India's national security. So this topic is related to internal security. If you are talking about UPSC, so basically this topic is related to General Studies Paper 3 in mains. What is the context? There are dual implication of advanced satellite system from civilian use to helping out the armed forces to acquire intelligence and establish strategic superiority in the region. And the use of spatial surveillance goes a long way when it comes to securing our national border. Okay, what is the background of this topic? Although the recent unsuccessful launch of EOS-3, that means Earth Observation Satellite 3, is a temporary setup to our upcoming mission like Gaganyaan, then Chandrayaan-3 and NISAR. Okay, and it also highlights the gap that needs to fill in order to improve our capabilities in space surveillance to strengthen the national security in the prevailing changing geopolitical order. Okay, geopolitical order. So please keep in the mind, this is very, very important. So I told you, there is an importance of Earth observation satellite. Okay, what is the importance? Importance is related to national security, importance related to internal security. Okay, and also I told you the background. There is a failure, okay, of EOS-3 mission of ISRO. So now let's talk about the meaning. That means what is the Earth
Sir, I have a question,
observational
sir.
satellite? What is the Ask.
Hello, sir. Sir, I have a question, sir. Sir,
Yes.
is there any difference between the remote sensing satellite and communication satellite are included in Earth observation satellite?
Yeah, these both are included in IRNS. Okay, so basically there's a satellite. You can say, for example, IRNS. There's a objective of IRNS is related to geosensing, then also related to communication. Okay, so basically there is a purpose, and you can say there is a separate objectives of different types of, you can say, satellite. Okay, basically there's will cover. There's a reset. Reset is reset had, okay, other purpose. Then there were, you can say, Earth observation satellite 3. Okay, you can say, so Earth observation satellite 3 has different types of purpose. So basically they are different types of satellite and they have different types of purpose or objective. But in IRNSS, okay, and also it is known as NAVIC. NAVIC has two types of objective related to security. That means also related to, you can say, NAVIC. Okay, for example, as like GPS. Okay, so there is NAVIC, and also NAVIC has one objective related to national security, because NAVIC can cover India's, you can say, border, and after that 1500 kilometer far away from India's border. So please keep in the mind. Okay, it's clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you the meaning. What is the meaning of Earth observation satellite? Okay, so basically, if you will talk about the Earth observation satellite, and Earth observation satellite are designed for Earth observation from space. Please keep in the mind, what is Earth observation? Okay, observation satellite, that means EOS. So please keep in the mind, Earth observation satellite are designed for Earth observation from space. Basically, for example, okay, if you are living in space, and you, okay, and in, you can say, from space you can get the inputs related to Earth. That means it is known as Earth observation satellite. For example, okay, India launched Earth observation satellite 3, and it you can say it was the successfully, okay, launched. And after that, EOS-3, okay, will provide the information, okay, provide the information related to Earth. That means it will observe the Earth pattern, it will observe the Earth, you can say, natural resources. So please keep in the mind, what is the Earth observation satellite? I told you it is designed for Earth observation from space, and which includes, please keep in the mind, which includes military use like spying, civilian use like meteorology and cartography. And Earth observation satellite make essential information available on a vast number of areas, including ocean, salinity, ice thickness, crop health, and air quality. And friends, the data from the Earth observation satellite are used for several applications like agriculture, urban planning, rural development, mineral prospecting, environment, forestry, ocean resources, and disaster management. I told you, there is a different types of objective or different types of satellite. So basically, Earth observation satellite is related to observation of Earth from the space. So is it clear, the definition of Earth observation satellite? Clear? Anyone? Do you have any doubt? Please tell me. Yes, sir. Clear. No, sir, I have a doubt. You can ask your question. Okay, you can raise your hand. Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah,
Sir.
What happened? Can you send me the question in message box?
It is used for sir.
I'm not getting your voice clearly. Yeah, Deji.
So what is cartography?
Okay. Cartography is related to basically draw the picture of Earth. That means the mapping. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Anyone?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So now let's discuss with the next. Okay, you can say key aspects related to these this topic. So now I'm going to tell you the India's space program. Okay, from you can say 1960 to present date. So basically, okay, till the 90, you'll have to keep in the mind, friends. Till the 1960s and 1970 kept India high into space technology as purely as peaceful, Okay, and friends, it was initially. Please keep in the mind, it was initially. Okay, no problem. So it was initially designed to develop communication and remote sensing satellite to enable weather forecasting, transportation, management, and conservation of natural resources and natural disaster and more. But the scenarios changed after the India wake up to the reality of nuclear China in 1964. Okay, in 1964, with whom it had fought a war recently. That means in 1962, there were fought between, okay, a war between Indo-China. And when due to sensitivity concern, India abstains from talking space technology in the context of national security. And the role of ISRO had been decisive for India's security, and it had publicly stated its commitment for the future. Okay, so friend, first of all, let's talk about the RISAT. That means the radar. Okay, please keep in the mind radar imaging satellite 2. Okay, RISAT. And RISAT is perhaps the first in the series of national security discussed in the public domain. Please keep in the mind. RISAT 2, that means the radar imaging satellite 2, is the first in the series of national security satellite which discussed in the public domain. And RISAT was launched in 2009. Please keep in the mind, it was launched in 2009. And it uses the synthetic aperture radar for providing radar images with a resolution of 1 meter regardless of the time or weather condition. Okay, so this is radar imaging satellite 2. Now there is GSAT-7. Okay, yeah, there is a GSAT-7. Yeah, Meena, ask your question. Meena, any doubt?
No, sir.
You have raised your hand. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you the next point, and the next is, friend, GSAT-7. Okay, next is GSAT-7. Please keep in the mind. And GSAT-7 is a multi-band military communication satellite. Please keep in the mind, GSAT-7 is a multi-band military communication satellite, and the Indian Navy acquires its first dedicated communication satellite. And GSAT-7 in 2013, it was launched in 2013, and it is expected that soon Indian Army and Indian Air Force will be using a similar set of satellite. Okay, then friend, there is a Cartosat series. Please keep in the mind Cartosat series, and Cartosat 1 was launched in 2005, yeah, and had a resolution of 2.5 meters. And currently the Cartosat 3 satellite can provide a resolution better than 0.25 meters. And Cartosat series, okay, was this capability that equipped our intelligence with the required input to plan the recent surgical strike, okay, in Balakot. And the next generation Cartosat series can provide image with a resolution better than 25 centimeter, and that will enable us to detect specific object and movements on the ground. Okay, movements on the ground. So we have discussed India's space program, basically related to security, national security. So we have discussed radar imaging satellite 2, GSAT-7 and Cartosat series. Okay, please keep in the mind. Now friends, let's talk most important points related to this topic. Why there is a need of Earth observation satellite? Why India needs Earth observation satellite? Okay, so we should discuss one by one. So first of all, friends, to counter China. What? To counter China. The foremost, okay, reason to have them is that the People Republic of China has many of these, okay, Earth observation satellite. And in 2020, the troops movement by the, you can say, China in the Ladakh region went largely undetected because of the lack of sufficient number of Earth observation satellite. And China have, okay, Gaofen series of Earth observation satellite, GAOFEN. Okay, please keep in the mind GAFOEN. So GAFOEN, okay, satellite of China. So China have, okay, Gaofen series of Earth observation satellite, and the Gaofen series is also associated. It's a military, okay, reconnaissance mission, and this is certainly a threat, and we need to have a robust, okay, surveillance system in place. And India has to respond the capability of China, with which we frequently experience border clashes. So what is Gaofen? Okay, AOF. I'm writing, okay, with the help of mouse. So Gaofen. What is Gaofen? So Gaofen is a series of Chinese high-resolution Earth imaging satellite, and for the state-sponsored program of China, and it is a high-resolution Earth observation system. And the first satellite in Gaofen, okay, was launched on, you'll have to keep in the mind, 2013. Gaofen 1, okay, Gaofen 1 was launched in 2013. Okay. Now, why there is a need? So first, I told you, to counter China. Second, surveillance in the Indian Ocean region. Okay. So, in addition to the threat on its Himalayan border with China, there is also a significant increase in its influence in Indian Ocean, okay, region has been reported. Okay, and this need to be taken care of by the use of advanced surveillance system. Do you know now? There is a, okay, China pulse of policy. Please keep in the mind. Okay, this type. So China wants their purchase, okay, in a, you can say, Indian Ocean region, in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, then Bangladesh. Okay, so you'll have to keep in the mind string of pulse policy. String of pulse policy is related to China, and China increase their purchase in a, you can say, Indian Ocean region. And also China, okay, wants to dominate the India. So basically China, okay, you can say is China is, okay, also you can say China, okay, is interested in investment in Asian region, or basically Southeast Asian region. So they can dominate, they can threat, okay, they can become threat for India. So please keep in the mind. So basically, there is a need for surveillance in the Indian Ocean region. Then third point, to overcome limitation of drones and, okay, unarmed vehicles. That means the unmanned aerial vehicles. Okay, and using, you can say, UAV, that means the unmanned aerial vehicles, and drone has its demerit, as they can be shot down if the reconnaissance mission needs to be carried out by the military installation of the, you can say, key adversary. And whereas the satellite imagery will have the capability to zoom, okay, into the most remote corner, which can help our security forces to take timely action and track suspicious movement. In Jammu Kashmir, okay, there are various incidents related to, you can say, related to UAV, related to drone, okay, because you can say terrorists were supplying the weapons with the help of drones and UAV. Okay, so please keep in the mind. Now let's discuss the needs of Earth observation satellite for India. So next is use of satellite for border management. Okay, India also needs to beef up its anti-infiltration grid along the Pakistan and Bangladesh border. And as infiltration and smuggling along the line of control have always been a threat to national security. Okay. And friends, the next is need is friend post-attack assessment. What? Post-attack assessment. Okay, please keep in the mind. And friend, this is crucial for post-attack damage assessment, and it will enable us to create opportunity to refine our attacks against enemy targets in the future. Okay. Now, friends, I'm going to tell you the additional information. Please keep in the mind. Low altitude satellites are prone to high atmospheric drag, and which result in reduced orbital self-life of the spacecraft. And that is why having an Earth observation satellite in geotransfer orbit is crucial for us, okay, as a satellite in lower Earth orbit. And why? Do help, okay, but they have a certain degree of limitation that can be overcome by using the, please keep in the mind, geotransfer orbit. So now we have discussed why there is a need of Earth observation satellite for India. Now let's discuss which area, okay, are identified for the use of space technology. Anyone, okay, can you tell me what will be the use of space technology in which area? Anyone? Please try to participate. Or also you can say what will be the usage of space technology. Yes.
Sir, upper atmosphere.
Okay. Anita? Deji? Salvation? Meena? No one?
Sir, I didn't
Guys,
get your question,
you'll
sir.
have
But
to.
you're asking.
Sir, again, sir,
Okay.
question, please, sir.
Okay. So, can you tell me a identified area for the use of space technology? That means in which area space technology can be helpful?
So in our uppermost atmosphere, because our atmosphere pressure is less, so it can fly as we have planned it to be.
Okay. Okay. So no problem. I'm going to tell you one by one. So let's discuss. Okay. I will tell you in a bullet point. Okay. We do not have sufficient times. Okay. You can see here the area identified for the use of space technology. So basically in island development and security. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Ananya. Can you send me the question in message box? Because I'm not getting your voice clearly. Okay. So now let's discuss the area identified for the use of space technology, basically in island development, that means, and also security, that means coastal development. Then there will be border surveillance, okay, communication and navigation. Then also you can say there will be a operation planning system. For example, we have discussed related to Balakot, okay, you can say strike. Then also friends, there will be monitoring of infrastructure, and it will also helpful for planning a new, you can say, scheme. It will be also helpful for our internal security. It will also helpful for, you can say, discovery of new natural resources. So please keep in the mind, these are the identify area, okay, for the use of space technology. Now let's discuss the technology used in Earth observation satellite. So there is a various types of technology. What is the infrastructure development? Okay, basically infrastructure development. For example, okay, yes.
डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट को कम करने के लिए भी, वो मॉनिटर करने के लिए.
Yes. Yeah, we have discussed that. We say after post attack or after this disaster. Okay, infrastructure development. For example, okay, India wants to build a bridge or pull. Also, you can say in Jammu and Kashmir. In also you can say basically in Kashmir area. If okay, Indian government has, you can say, information related to locality, that means ki India can plan a better policy, or also you can say better planning, okay, for making the bridge. So basically you can say ki there is various uses of space technology. Okay, then also, yeah, infrastructure development, climate change, mineral prospecting, land or in ocean. Very good, Soumya Prakash. Okay, now let's discuss the technology used in Earth observation satellite. Basically, first of all, you can say ki imagery intelligence, that means ki IMINT. Okay, so you can say imaginary intelligence. It is an intelligence gathering system where the aerial images are analyzed to identify information of intelligence value. Okay, then second is SAR. SAR means synthetic aperture radar. Okay, and it is used to create 2 or 3 dimensional images of object and landscape. And synthetic aperture radar is important for airborne surveillance and precision targeting, and it is a day-night or weather imaging, okay, system, and is indispensable for defense application. And the third technology is when electro-optical function. Electro-optical function, and electro-optical function system provides images for military and law enforcement agency, and it can provide automatic detection of tracking of flying objects, and the functionality of the system can be enhanced by using an infrared sensor. Then next is when photo reconnaissance. So please keep in the mind, it can fulfill a variety of requirements, including artillery spotting and observation of military, okay, maneuvers, weapons. So please keep in the mind. So now let's talk about the conclusion related to this topic. And I told you the topic was Earth observation satellite are essential for India's national security. So Soumya Prakash, so do we have to go deeper to know about those techniques, how they... No. Okay, you do not have, okay, go to in detail. Basically, these points are sufficient, okay, for civil service, that means for UPSC, and also for, you can say, state service. So you'll, okay, do not have to go in detail. Okay, basically these points are sufficient. Now, Banita, what is reconnaissance? Reconnaissance means, that means the satellite can, okay, you can say take a picture, and after that they will deliver, okay, picture, you can say with the help of also you can say radar. Okay, so please keep in the mind. So I told you, Banita. Now let's discuss the conclusion portion. Our approach, that means India's approach to space policy, okay, India approach, you can say, to space policy is now driven by national security, okay, national security worries, and as compared to morality and sovereignty during the 1980s and the 1990s. And friends, presently geopolitics is the new driver for India to focus on the military aspects of its space program. And our military needs Earth observation satellite to control challenges from China. And a glance over China's Earth observation capability is enough to understand why India needs more of them and must consider it as a strategic investment. So please keep in the mind, we have discussed this topic. So is it clear, or do you have any doubt? If you have doubt, feel free to ask, raise your hand, ask your question, and I will try to destroy your doubts. Anyone, is it clear? Please tell me. Okay, Deji, thank you. Deji is, you can say Deji is used to comment, used to participate in every classes, not only in the current affair classes, but also in history classes. Okay. So basically, what is SAR? So if we'll talk about the SAR, I told you, if we'll talk about the SAR, our SAR means you can see here. Okay, please keep in the mind. Okay, this is very, very important, because if you ask what is SAR, synthetic aperture radar. Basically, it is a radar, and SAR is used to create 2D or 3D image of objects, or you can say the earth. Okay, objects and landscape. And synthetic aperture radar is important for airborne surveillance and precision targeting. That means if our security people will try to destroy the enemy's weapons, so synthetic aperture radar will be helpful. So basically, synthetic aperture radar is related to creating or 2D or 3D images of objects and landscape. Okay, so basically it is a radar. It will be helpful for creating images of objects and landscape, and it is very, very important for hitting the target. Okay, and also you can say it is day-night all-weathering imaging system. Okay, and is indispensable for defense application. So clear, Ananya? Okay, now let's discuss a new topic, and the new topic is very, very important. Okay, and the topic is related to environment. So now, topic is, why is it difficult for India to get to net zero? Net zero means carbon. Please keep in the mind, we'll discuss in the detail. So basically, this topic is related to environment, and this is the hot topic for upcoming examination for means perspective. So friend, let's talk about the context. On his recent visit to India ahead of the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, US, Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry said he had not received any assurance that India was working to raise its ambition to cut carbon dioxide emission. So what is you can say key background related to this topic? So basically, friends, there is a conference of party, conference of party 26. Please keep in the mind. Conference of party means there is a group of country, 200 group, 193 groups. So please keep in the mind. So basically, the conference of parties 26, United Nations Climate Change Conference, to be hosted by the United Kingdom in partnership with Italy, and it will be held from 31st October to 12 November 2021 at the Scottish Events Campus in Glasgow, United Kingdom. And friends, contrary to the shape of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, this sounds like red in climate change, India will be under a lot of pressure from the West. That means the Western country at a climate summit in Glasgow in November, and most likely before it declares some kind of zero commitment. So please keep in the mind. And friends, however, if the government actually intends to reject any such demands and provides more weather action than a commitment, that would be the right approach. Now let's discuss what is the target of net zero output. What is the target of net zero output? Please keep in the mind, this is very, very important. I am going to tell you. So Somyaj, sir, USA has GDP, though India has something of its own positioning systems. Yes, India has own positioning system for surveillance, IRNSS. I told you, NAVIC. Please keep in the mind, Soumya. Now, yeah, let's discuss what is the target of net zero output. Okay, what is the target of net zero output? Okay, friends, net zero emission are a way of measuring. Okay, please keep in the mind, net emission are a way of measuring the release of heat gas into the atmosphere by the absorption of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. And in zero carbon, okay, combustion, the country will focus on reducing carbon emission. But please keep in the mind, zero carbon combustion, the country will focus on reducing carbon emission. But in net zero carbon, country will focus on bringing carbon emission to zero. And friends, in the first phase, the country will focus on reducing human emission, such as burning mineral fuels, measuring factory emission, and gradually, however, net zero releases can be extended to other remaining locations. And globally, the idea of net zero emission by 2050 is gaining momentum. So please keep in the mind, okay, net zero by 2050. Okay, so the idea of net zero emission by 2050 is gaining momentum, and it is being advised by many countries as a solution to tackling climate change. And to date, okay, 58 countries have announced target of zero emission. Okay, I'm telling you the facts. Okay, updated facts. Please keep in the mind, 58 countries have announced targets of zero emission. And together, these countries make up more than half of the current, okay, you'll have to keep in the mind, greenhouse gas emission worldwide. Okay, please keep in the mind, 58 countries. Okay, so basically we can say 58 countries, okay, are responsible for more than 50%, okay, more than 50% of greenhouse gas emission. And upcoming next year, or also over the next 30 years, the all aim to reduce emission of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. And there are requests, okay, from international forum that India also needs to accept the release of net zero emission. That means India has pressure from Western country, pressure from developed country. Okay, but there are other environmental factors that do not allow you to accept the objective of net zero release, and they say it is not fair in developing country. That means India has, you can say, different types of region to not accept of, you can say, net zero, you can say, announcement related to net zero. And according to India, it is not fair for developing country, okay, and also we can say it is not fair that developing countries should follow the net zero emission objective. Basically, okay, developed country should help the developing country for, okay, tackling the issue related to pollution, tackling the, you can say, issue related to carbon, okay, please keep in the mind, and also tackling the issue related to greenhouse gas. So basically, developed country should, okay, help, okay, so please keep in the mind, help to developing countries. Okay, so friends, I told you what is the target of net zero output. Now let's discuss the India climate action. What is the action of India's government? Okay, so basically, friends, India is expected to significantly exceed the Paris Agreement commitment to reduce its GDP emission by 33 to 35%, okay, below 2005 levels by 2030. So please keep in the mind, okay. And then India focus on, also you can say India emphasis on renewable. So India impresses the world with its leading renewable energy output and target of 450 gigawatt. Please keep in the mind, 450 gigawatt. Okay, 450 gigawatt. Please keep in the mind, 450 gigawatt. Okay, gigawatt by 2030 and linked to its leadership in the International Solar Alliance and the latest national hydrogen strategy. Okay, you know, International Solar Alliance, the initiative of India and France, its headquartered in Gurugram in, you can say, nearby Delhi border. Okay, then friends, India is also focused on business. So you can say India's company, okay, are also on the rise with the Tata team winning awards for sustainability. Mahindra is committed to net zero by 2040 and Reliance by 2035. So please keep in the mind. And friends, in addition to logic arguments about historical obligation, individual exclusion, and equality, India's national interest in climate action are now operating in more efficient ways than waiting for donor support to create prominence. That means India is taking initiative by self. Okay, that means India, okay, is not dependent on any country. India, okay, or also we can say the Indian government took various decisions, okay, without the help of any country, without the help of any developed country. That means the Indian government is working, okay, towards the, you can say, net zero emission. Indian government is working to reduce the greenhouse gas. Okay, so please keep in the mind, not only government, in Indian companies also working on net zero emission. I told you this Tata, Mahindra, Reliance. Okay, so please keep in the mind. Now, let's discuss why achieving net zero emission are not easy for India. Why achieving net zero emission are not easy for India, we should understand. Okay, so basically, friends, India is trying to balance its growing energy needs with demands to slash emission, and which could make the goal of achieving carbon neutrality difficult. So basically, we can say the demand of growing energy. Okay, also you can say the energy demand is increasing day by day, and India is developing country. So in India, okay, industry will rise, new industry will be, you can say, will be set up. So basically, you can say for the development process, there will be the demand, high demand of energy. Okay, so please keep in the mind. And friends, the International Energy Agency forecast that India's energy demand, okay, basically, please keep in the mind, India's energy demand will grow more than any other country over the next 20 years. And by 2030, it is expected to overtake the European Union as the third biggest energy consumer. So basically, in upcoming 10 years, we can say 9 years, okay, India will replace European Union in the place of energy consumer. Okay, and friends, although renewable energy share in India's energy mix is increasing, coal accounts for almost 70% of country's electricity generation, according to International Energy Agency, and it plays a major role in global warming and contributes to deadly air pollution. And I told you, India will replace, presently, friends, we'll have to keep in the mind, India is the world's third biggest emitter of greenhouse gases. Okay, greenhouse gases. So basically, it is hurdle. Okay, it is hurdle for India. You can say and it is not easy. Okay, for India to achieving net zero. And also we can say India's per capita carbon dioxide emission, okay, at 1.8 ton per person in 2015, and are around a ninth of those in the USA, and around a third of the global average of 4.8 ton per person. And India must also meet the aspiration of 1.4 billion people for faster economic development. And this you and meeting the nation existing target of 450 gigawatts of renewable by 2030 is already a massive leap, and hitting net zero will require an even more dramatic acceleration. That means Indian government have to take more decision, okay, in the field of renewable energy. Okay, please keep in the mind. Now friends, by 2050, India's total, okay, would be about 5,500 to 6,000 terawatt hours, and roughly a factor of 5 on today's level. That means we can say in upcoming year, India electricity demand will increase. If India's electricity, okay, demand will increase, that means it, okay, can contribute in the increasing level of pollution, and also it will be helpful, okay, for, you can say, key raising the point developed country emission have already peaked in developed country. For example, America, France, Germany, United Kingdom. Okay, and the developed country decision is only about the path to net zero. Emerging economies like India and still will go through a high growth phase with a rising, okay, energy demand and emission. So before a net zero year can be targeted, India must discuss option for its peaking year. Okay, and there's many argue that net zero is not equitable and fair, as it does not differentiate between developing and developed country in sharing the burden of mitigation. Mitigation means if there's a problem, so what should be the solution? So mitigation means, you can say, key problems related to carbon emission. Okay, so please keep in the mind, there's two things: adaptation and mitigation. Okay, and friend, some people or some scholar also criticize mid-century net zero as allowing, okay, allowing uncontrolled emission today with the relying on uncertainty to offset emission in the future. Many net zero pledges are permitted, okay, you can say, premised upon trading and offsetting emission, allowing the rich to continue emitting and buying their way out. Okay, so we have discussed why achieving net zero emission are not easy in India. Now we should discuss about the suggestive measure, that means how India can, okay, achieve net zero emission target. Anyone, can you tell me which paths, okay, should India follow for achieving the net zero emission? Anyone, can you tell me? No one?
So it is. Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Hello, sir. It is
Go ahead.
nearly impossible for if our population is not decreased that much. It's
Okay,
not if our population
Deji?
is not controlled as per our demand.
Okay, got it. Okay, got your point. Yes. Deji, Sambit Sekhar, Banita, Ananya. Yeah, Deji.
Sir, first of all, awareness is very important among the people, because without any awareness, because the people are mainly responsible for so much carbon emissions.
Okay.
That is why awareness is required.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? So now I'm going to tell you the suggestive measures. So please keep in the mind. It's very, very important. Okay. So what should be the suggestive massive shifts underway in India's energy system? Okay. And we would benefit from taking stock of our action and focusing on near-term transition. So please keep in the mind. It's very, very important. Okay. Yeah, global warming also. Now, next point is when this will allow us to meet and even over comply with our 2030 target, while also ensuring, okay, you can say commitment. Also, you can say development benefits such as developing a vibrant renewable industry. That means India should focus on the develop of renewable industry. Yeah. Yes, Rajesh. Any doubt? Okay, let's discuss. So I told you India should focus on renewable, okay, industries. That means India should develop a vibrant renewable industry, okay. And also we can start putting in place the policies and institution necessary to move us in the right direction for the long term, and also better understand through modeling and other studies, okay, the implication of net zero scenario before making a net zero pledge. Net zero pledge. Okay. Please mute yourself. Okay. So now let's discuss the next point. Okay. And friends, also you can say it would also be in India's interest to link any future pledge to the achievement of near-term action by industrialized country, and that would be fair and consistent with the principle of the UNFCCC, and also enhance the feasibility of our own action through, okay, for example, increasing availability and reducing cost of new mitigation technology. That means the technology should be available, and also you can say low cost technology. Yes, renewable projects should be implemented. Very good, Ananya. Okay, so basically they are also public awareness is important. Yeah, Teji told you, or Teji told us that is public awareness is important. Basically public, or also you can say people, is also responsible, okay, for, you can say, carbon emission. So basically people is aware, okay. That means if people know the importance of environment, so first of all, yeah, investment on capacity building, green energy, very good. Yeah, there is a lots of point, okay. So I was talking about the awareness of people. So basically people is aware, okay. If people is aware, that means if anyone know the importance of atmosphere, importance of environment, importance of climate, so they, okay, you can say they will also, they will try to save the our environment, okay. They will also, you can say there will be now forestation, okay. So please keep in the mind, if for example, if I know the importance of forest, climate, okay, or atmosphere, so basically if I know, that means I am a, so I will go through the process related to saving the atmosphere, okay, process related to carbon free. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I was also talking about the carbon free environment. Very good, Ananya. Okay, so use of electrical vehicles. Yes, electrical vehicle is also important. So friends, so we have discussed, okay, related to, you can say, topic, why is it difficult for India to get to net zero. So now I'm going to discuss a new topic, okay, related to reform in urban planning. Okay, reform in urban planning. So basically, please give me 5 minute break. Okay, I will join within 5 to 7 minutes. Please wait, don't go. Okay, and please comment what we have covered. Okay, what we have covered yet, please comment. And also, if, okay, you do not want to comment, please revise this point in your mind. And also, if you recall, okay, if you can recall, so you can write, okay, down this point on, you can say blank page. So please keep in the mind. First of all, try to, okay, revise this point, which topic we have covered, what was the main points related to topic, in topic what we have covered. And after that, friends, we'll start with the not new topic, and the new topic is related to reforms in urban planning, okay. And we'll discuss about the Niti Aayog report. According to Niti Aayog, okay, there is a need of reforms in urban planning. So we'll discuss, okay. So please give me 5 minutes break. Nuclear energy high safety with the proper scientific studies. Very good, Soumya. Okay. Now let's start our discussion the reforms in urban planning according to there is a need of reforms in urban planning. So basically this topic is related to environment and also you can say our society. And the report, okay, what is the context? Context is when a report on measures to ramp up urban planning capacity in India was launched by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog means National Institution Transforming of India, and it was set up on for sorry, there were technical problem. Okay, yeah. So we are talking about the reports related to you can say Niti Aayog, that means measures to ramp up urban planning capacity in India was launched by Niti Aayog. So NITI means National Institution of Transforming India. Okay, it was set up on 1st Jan 2015 and it replaced Planning Commission, which was set up on 15th March 1950. Okay, so who is the chairman of NITI Aayog? So presently, that means chairman is Prime Minister. Okay, so present Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the chairman of NITI Aayog. Okay, now what is the report? The report has been developed by Niti Aayog in consultation with the concerned ministries and eminent expert in the domain of urban and regional planning. Urban and regional planning. And it underscored urban challenges, including town planning, and emphasizes need greater policy attention in our country. So, friend, why these you can say such a report? So basically, in the upcoming years, urban India will power the growth of the Indian economy. And urban challenges, including town planning, need greater policy attention in our country. And okay, basically you used to get you used to read the news related to that means water lodging in Delhi, water lodging in Chennai, water lodging in you can say Bihar, Patna. So basically, there is a okay reform in upcoming years, India, okay, urban India will power to growth of the Indian economy, and there will be urban challenges, including town planning, need greater policy attention in our country, and there is a compelling need to plug the gaps, okay, in urban planning capacity in the country. It's a huge opportunity for rapid, sustainable, and equitable growth, okay, would be at the risk of being missed. Please keep in the mind. So basically, in upcoming years, India will rise. Okay, basically in upcoming year, okay, upcoming years, India will develop. So there is in urban planning, there is a need of new technology. There is a need of new skill. Okay, please keep in the mind. Now, and let's discuss, friend. This also important point is that urbanization, okay, is the driving force of the Indian. So, what is the driving force of the Indian urbanization? Okay, if for example, if any village will develop, after developing, you can say the village will be known as the city. There is a provision related to you can say panchayat. Then you can say there will be also there is a 73rd Constitution Amendment related to Panchayati Raj, then 74th Constitution Amendment related to urban local self-governance. So basically in urban local self-government, there is 3 types of things. So no need to go in detail. Basically, you should cover 73rd Constitution Amendment Act and 74th Constitution Amendment Act. Basically, if any area, okay, that means if for example, Delhi is a mega city, okay, and in nearby Delhi, okay, please keep in the mind, there's a various, you can say, villages, and these villages will be in transition mode, because after few years, it will be developed as the city. It will be developed as the city, because in you can say India, there's a definition, okay, of you can say city. These are four things basically you'll have to keep in the mind: population density, okay, then source of income, then also you can say there will be resources, okay, there will be sources of resources, so please keep in the mind. So basically friends, we can say urbanization is the driving force of the Indian economy, and the country has reached a turning point in its transformation, and it will be half urban in a couple of decades. And this is the first time in the history of India that the question of urban planning capacity has been dealt with in depth. First time in India, basically government report is talking about urbanization, policy related to urbanization, challenge related to urbanization, facilities related to urbanization. And however, friend, greater synergy among the public and private sector and education institution will provide a massive boost towards making Indian cities more, okay, livable, competitive, and sustainable. Okay. So why there is a need of reforms in urban planning capacity? Basically, friends, India is home to 11% of the total global urban population by 2027. And India will surpass China as the most populous country in the world, okay? And unplanned urbanization, however, exerts, okay, great strain on our city. And in fact, the COVID-19 pandemic has revealed the dire need for the planning and management of our city. And urban planning is the foundation for an integrated development of cities, citizen, and environment. But friends, unfortunately, it has received due attention so far. And we have discussed that this is the first time when Indian government's report, okay, is talking in depth related to urbanization. And friends, the existing urban planning and governance framework is complex, which often leads to ambiguity and lack of accountability. Okay. So basically, now we should discuss highlight of the report. What is the key highlight of the report? Basically, friends, the report makes several recommendations that can unblock bottlenecks in the value chain of urban planning capacity in India. So let's discuss the few important, okay, you can say recommendation. So first is, friend, programmatic intervention for planning of healthy cities. Every city must aspire to become a healthy city for all by 2030. And the Niti Aayog report is a central sector scheme, 500 healthy cities program for a period of 5 years, wherein priority cities and towns would be selected jointly by the states and local bodies. Okay, so please keep in the mind, Niti Aayog report recommends a central sector scheme of 500 healthy cities program for a period of 5 years. Okay, now pragmatic intervention for optimum utilization of urban land. Okay, urban land. All the cities and towns under the proposed healthy city program should strengthen development control regulation based on scientific evidence. Why? To maximize the efficiency of urban land. That means your planning area. And the Niti Aayog reports recommends a sub-scheme preparation, revision of development control regulation for this purpose. Okay. And the third point is, friend, ramping up of human resources. So to combat the shortage of urban planners in the public sector, the Niti Aayog report recommends that states, union territory, okay, may need to also, you can say, recommends that the states, union territory expedite the filling up of vacant position of town planners, and additionally sanction 8,268 town planner post as lateral entry position for minimum period of 3 years and maximum of 5 years to meet the gaps. Okay. And the 4th point is, friend, ensuring qualified professional for undertaking urban planning. And state, town, and country planning department face an acute shortage of town planners. This is compounded by the fact that in several cities, ironically, a qualification in town planning is not even an essential criteria for such jobs. States may need to set amendments in their recruitment rules to ensure the entry of qualified candidates into town planning position. And 5th is, friend, re-engineering of urban governance. Okay, next is re-engineering of urban governance. So there is a need to bring in more institutional clarity and also multidisciplinary expertise to solve urban challenges. And Niti Aayog report recommends the constitution of high-powered committee to re-engineer the present urban planning governance structure. And what is the key aspects that would need to address in this effort are clear division of the roles and responsibilities of various authorities, appropriate revision of rules and regulation, creation of more dynamic organizational structure, standardization of the job description of town planner and other experts, and extensive adoption of technology for enabling public participation and interagency coordination. Okay, done. Next reference, revision of town and country planning acts. What? There is a need of revision of town and country planning acts. Okay, please keep in the mind. And friends, most states have enacted the town and country planning acts that enable them to prepare and notify master plans for implementation. And however, many need to be reviewed and upgraded. And therefore, the formation of an apex committee at the state level is recommended to undertake a regular review of planning legislation, and in legislation including town and country planning or urban and regional development acts or other relevant acts. Then next is, friend, demystifying planning and involving citizen. Please keep in the mind. So demystifying planning and involving citizen, while it is important to maintain the master plan's technical rigor, and it is equally important to demystify them for enabling citizen participation at relevant stage. And therefore, the committee strongly recommends a citizen outreach campaign for demystifying urban planning. That means there should be a participation from the public sides, from the rural sides, from the peoples. Okay, so please keep in the mind. Now, friends, there is a next point, and the next point is steps for enhancing the role of private sector. So basically, you so know about that. Means the report recommends that concern measures must be taken at multiple levels to strengthen the role of the private sector. Okay, then steps for strengthening urban planning education system. So please keep in the mind. And the last, measures for strengthening human resource and match demand supply. Okay. And now let's discuss the few facts which is very important for prelims. You can see here is All India Survey on Higher Education. So it is released annually by the Department of Higher Education, and recently the 10th series was released as the report of All India Survey on Higher Education 2019-2020. And All India Survey on Higher Education provides key performance indicator on the current status of higher education in the country, and it is the 10th series I told you. So what is All India Council for Technical Education? Basically, it is a statutory body. Okay, it was established by the Act of Parliament, and it is a national level council for technical education under the Department of Higher Education, and it regulates technical education in India. It's regulate technical education in India. Okay, friends. So basically, we have discussed topic related to mains. We have discussed reforms in urban planning. And why is it difficult for India to get net zero? Then Earth observation satellites are essential for India's national security. Then Equinox 2021, which arrived on September 22nd. In upcoming classes, we'll discuss important topics and also topics related to prelims. Okay, so please keep in the mind and please revise. Okay, please focus on revision. Revision is the key for the success. Please keep in the mind. So Do you have any doubt related to today class, or is it clear? And also please tell me how, what's your class, what is your views related to today class? Please tell me. Do you have any advice, suggestion, feedback? Okay, feel free to give.